how to do your stacking or what to add to your CDC bracelets. Should you even buy a CDC bracelet? What color should you buy? I'm thinking by the time you finish watching my video that I'm hoping that I have answered all of those questions for yourself. So let's get started. Here's the first one. Basic black one you see all the time. I have it on, regular black CDC. I am wearing a size small if anybody wants to know. So I am going to wear it as a standard, right? And then here's a few things that I have. Obviously, you know, you could throw on a bangle. You could throw on another bangle. This is the Hermes one that I have. Everything that I'm wearing, I will link below for you guys with the combinations that I'm going to wear them, so you don't have to worry about jotting down the names. So that's one look, right? If you want to keep going, elevating the look, right? I'm going to add a third one. This is the Miansai bracelet that I wear all of the time that you guys see. So I'm going to throw this one on. Not done yet. So this will be, so this is as if you have on, I have 3 different type of bangles with the CDC bracelet, right? I can wear it with no problem. And I'm sure you probably have bangles and different bracelets that you already have in your closet, and you can throw those on. Now I'm going to take these off and I'm going to show you another combination. It's all fashion jewelry that I'm mixing in with the CDC bracelet. All right, so that's one look. And then now I'm going to pair it with another leather bracelet, and you've seen this one before. So I'm going to pair this one, right? Nothing fancy. This is from that brand, YouTuber HRH Collection. Give me a second. It does. I will say, I love this bracelet, but it does take me a moment to get this thing on when you're doing it by yourself. I call myself trying to do this in real time for you guys. So I'm like, oh, real world, I'm going to do this in real time. And honestly, this is the real time. Man, it takes me a minute to get this thing on. Woo, I got it on. And if you want to break them up and add something else, from the original stack, you could sort of put that in the middle like that and break it up if you like. Or you could take it and take the same one, just non-fancy bangle bangle that I got from a jewelry stand in New York City one day. And then you could do that. And I think that's very cool. I've worn this quite a bit recently over the last year, and I seem to like it. I'm getting more and more comfortable wearing the stack. So definitely take yourself out of the comfort zone if you want to wear it. And I actually got more comfortable from adding things to my stack because of my Hermes SA. She does a really good job of mixing and wearing different combinations. So that is one way. And so now I want to show you something else that we probably have in our closet, right? So this is those jewelry by the yard, I guess you would say. And I purchased this a while ago. I have a silver one and I have a gold one. So I'm going to show you what to do with both. So here's a single one. So instead of wearing it as a necklace, I'm just going to throw it on with my bracelet. Because of sake of time, I won't do it now. But if I wasn't rushing, trying to show you guys in real time how this is, it's going to look like that. Because I really would, I would unfasten it and then tie it around my wrist one more time, so it's like more snug. And then it looks like that. I'm going to add one more combination for you. So now, if you happen to have any Hermes scarves, and I know that this was a really big thing last year when people were wearing them around their wrist a lot, so you actually can do that. And here is what I suggest you do. I know you can't see me do this, so I am going to tie it with myself with one hand. Do it one more time. And voila. So you can wear your CDC bracelet with a small handkerchief scarf. And so just to kind of give me a pop of color, and I wore black today just so you could kind of see how the different combinations would work no matter what you're wearing. And that's basically it. And here's the thing too. So here's where I would probably wear the scarf and the CDC together. And I just threw my, I have a jean vest along with me, but I just want to show you how cute and fun it could be when you're wearing something casual like a denim jacket or blazer or something like that, really casual, and with a t-shirt. So for fun, I threw on a vest, as you can see, and with the scarf along with the CDC, and then that's it. So I have a little pop of color. So this is the E-taupe, the new CDC bracelet that came out. They call it CDC 24, I think it is. And so as I've said in the past, it is half the size as a regular CDC. And it typically comes in probably about like 6 different colors now. And currently I have on a T2. Because as you guys know, they changed the sizing of the CDC bracelets to T1 through 3. Again, it would just be a little tighter once I put it around my... And then here's something else I would do. I had this in my drawer. It was actually a necklace that I had gotten really inexpensive at, I think, my hair salon one day, and I knew it wasn't going to last forever, so I did enjoy it until it finally did break. And then when it broke and how it broke, it was perfect that I actually turned it into a bracelet. So now I'm going to add this little guy. So I threw the other part in the trash, and I broke it off in a way that I can wear it as a bracelet. I've sort of, if you can see it, I sort of mixed that in there to kind of give me a little fun pop of color. And I'll make that a tad bit tighter. And then, so you could wear that as a playful look. Just like that. Along with this one. And so I'm going to now take off the longer necklace. And I'm going to now add one of the original bangles from the first stack. Just gonna throw that in there, and then you could do that. And if you wanted to throw on one more, obviously you could throw on another bangle. Keep saying bagel. I am going to transition to my third CDC, and that is called the Color Curve. And so I do love this color. For me, it's obviously going to be a very neutral color against my skin tone. But I'm going to show you how you could stack this one. So I kept on the last few things that I had with that E-taupe one. I kept it on. So as you can see, against my skin tone, it's very nice and very like neutral, kind of gives me a nice little neutral color that I could really wear with anything. And then with the stack, it is absolutely perfect, right? And then I will show you, you can always, once again, keep adding, but I'll show you with the just changing my stack around a little bit. So I'm putting on the Miansai bracelet. So just put it down at the front, and then I have the thin one in the back, and then I still just kept on the little playful, colorful one because it has all the different little color beads. So have fun with the CDC stacks. And now I am going to throw on one more CDC, the beautiful blue one. And I think they call it the blue Agave, right? And so this is the only one I have with the gold hardware on it. So I'm going to show you how to do this one. So here's what it looks like by itself. I still cup on the little fun playful one, right? So that's what it is by itself now. So that's before. So now I've added one, right? So I have a gold link I got from TJMaxx. I think it's just like a gold overlay, but the color really complements the gold hardware on the bracelet really nicely. And then I kept the blue, the little fun one still on the back. And then I'm going to add one more. Hi Vegas. Hi Vegas. Hi Vegas. So I have added the gold screw. Oh, I think this is one of my favorites. I have the necklace by the yard, as you would say. You can find these things anywhere. You find jewelry, accessory places that sell stuff by the yard. I think I've paid all of $20 for this, and it's really nice to wear, especially in the summertime when you're wearing nice flowy dresses and shirts and things like that. It's just nice to have it hanging long or laying it. So I'm just trying to wrap this, because typically I would be just wrapping this around my arm and then putting it on properly, because I'm rushing. I just want to show you guys. So now I've added that to my stack. The lighting is changing a little bit, but I think that's definitely a nice combination to kind of give you, if you want more of a chain look, you can definitely do that. And so basically this is all chains except for the CDC. I'm going to show you one more. How's everybody doing today? I know last time I saw you, I made these really good chocolate chip cookies. The second batch definitely turned out better than the first batch. I'll actually link the video here right now. And so definitely take definitely check out the link to my last video that I just posted, because I posted some of my favorite things, and I also shared with you making the chocolate chip cookies. And so I've gotten some really nice feedback and comments. So thank you for all those thumbs up and high fives and all those wonderful things. So definitely check that out. And so now I am going to throw back on that Hermes handkerchief scarf, for it's like the smaller scarf that you can buy without being just a handkerchief. And so I threw that on with that same CDC cuff. And you can do that if you like. I'm hoping that this gave you just a little bit more help in trying to figure out if you wanted to buy a CDC, first of all. And then second of all, if you wasn't sure on how to sort of elevate the CDC without taking yourself outside of your comfort zone too much. I'm hoping that this allowed you to do that and help you to make that decision just a tad bit easier. So anyway, before you leave me, don't forget, check out the video that I just posted the other day from my favorite things that I got delivered this week of restocked items that you're definitely going to like. And thank you once again for all of the wonderful feedback about the video as well. Thank you guys so much. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you.